Well, good morning, folks, and welcome to Party Line. I'm your host, Wendy Corr. So glad to have you all with us today. We have a really special guest with us today on Party Line. She's actually calling in because she's currently in Missoula, Montana, getting ready to do a project there. But she will be here in Cody on Monday, the 15th. This is Stacy Pearsall, and she is doing what's called the Veterans Portrait Project. And this project has been featured on NBC, on various publications, and all over. She's had her portraits shown and displayed at the Smithsonian Museum. Stacy Pearsall, we are so glad to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes and talking to our listeners here on KODI.
Gosh, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, Stacy, tell us a little bit about yourself, for starters. We know that you're going to be at the VFW Hall on Monday to it's part of a goal of yours to hit all 50 states with your Veterans Portrait Project, and you've chosen Cody for your Wyoming location, and we're very honored about that. Tell us a little bit about the Portrait Project itself and why it's important, not just to the veterans, but to you.
Well, the Veterans Portrait Project was born out of a really hard time in my life. I was a combat photographer for 10 years, and I was wounded in Iraq, and that ended my career. And really, during that transition, it was hard for me to find my feet because the doctors were saying I couldn't do photography anymore. I wouldn't be able to be in the military. And for somebody who lived basically their entire adult life, as I had enlisted at 17, taking that military identity away from me was really tragic, and I felt at a loss and very listless. Moreover, I was still sort of grappling not only with my physical recovery, but most importantly, my emotional recovery. And I was in the VA hospital waiting for a doctor's appointment when an elderly gentleman came up and sat next to me, and I was feeling like he was just staring at me, as one would, being a young female in a hospital full of men. I was feeling a little disgruntled. Needless to say, I was going to give him a piece of my mind, but instead I asked him if there was something I could do for him, and that was the opportunity he was looking for to share his story. And being a World War II veteran, Normandy survivor, he liberated a concentration camp, and he just talked until my doctor's appointment. And in that moment, I realized when I thought he was prejudiced against me, I was prejudiced against him. And I had to switch this viewpoint in my mind. And in doing so, I realized, too, that the military community, the veteran community, is so humble that we meet veterans every day. We probably just don't know it. And we're not the first to really wear our experiences on our sleeves or be the ones to be boastful about it. And how can I go about and share those stories that would be mostly untold? If we turn the TV on, we'll hear stories about people who earned the Silver Star or the Congressional Medal of Honor, but we don't hear about the everyday veteran who, really gave and committed their life to service without anything in return. So for me, the Veterans Portrait Project was a way to get the camera back in my hands, to give myself purpose, and to keep one foot in front of the other. And it was emotionally healing. With every veteran story that I heard, it was validating in my own experience that I wasn't alone in the sort of emotional turmoil that I was going through at the time. And it's been a healing process. I said I would photograph veterans in every state, thinking that it would be, a lifetime experience. But it's been 11 years, and I've photographed 7,500 veterans, more than that.
Oh, my goodness.
I just completed my 35th state in Bismarck, North Dakota yesterday, and I'm going to be doing Missoula, Montana today, and this will be number 36. Then I'm going to Boise, and then I'm coming to Cody, Wyoming.
That is, we are so glad that you're coming, and it's an opportunity, I think, for people to, not just veterans, but just us regular residents and citizens to come get a chance to see what you're doing. You have won numerous awards, Stacy, for your photography and for this project as well. What are the requirements for your subjects, and do they need to have served any length of time? Do they need to have been wounded? Is this just anybody who has served in the military?
Well, by definition, the veteran is anybody who is serving actively in the Guard or Reserve, active duty, or had served at any point in time, not necessarily in combat. So by the Veterans Portrait Project standards, I accept anybody who raised their hand and said, I give my life on the altar of service. And whether they actually saw combat or not is irrelevant to me, because their commitment is enough. And for that, anybody's welcome who is either actively serving in the Guard or Reserves or has a DD Form 214.
Now, what do you do with these photographs? Obviously, they're on the website, and I would encourage everybody to get on the website, veteransportraitproject.com, and check out Stacy's photography. But, Stacy, it's not just on the web. These photographs are seen all over the country.
Absolutely, they are. I have an exhibition right now in the Pentagon that honors the 50th anniversary of Vietnam War. I have an exhibition right now that is at Arlington National Cemetery at the Women in Military Service Memorial for America. That's all about women veterans and their service. I have had exhibitions at like the National Portrait Gallery at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. is so humbling. But, I have had pop-up exhibitions nationwide in an effort to keep the veterans' dialogue in the forefront of our minds. And, not just the generation, the World War II generation who, tragically we're losing so many every day. I don't want to lose sight of what they need, the Korean War vets, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and my generation.
So if we know, because KODI is such an amazing patriotic place and just really honors our veterans here, if we know veterans that we would like them to get their portrait taken, what's the process to make a reservation for Monday the 15th to get that portrait taken?
Well, if you want, visit veteransportraitproject.com, and the calendar and RSVP links are right on that website. If you have trouble finding that, please feel free to email rsvp@gmail, and we'll help direct you how to do that. Again, it's veteransportraitproject.com. It's really quite simple.
Veteransportraitproject.com. And again, you take portraits of veterans at all stages, all ages, men, women. You've even got portraits of dogs, of these service dogs here.
I do.
And that's wonderful.
I've included military working dogs, and I photographed some of the military working horses when we were in Cody. It was pretty great.
That is wonderful. And you have a service dog of your own.
I do. His name's Charlie. He's fantastic.
Well, and that's something, again, I think people would really be interested in meeting you and hearing your story as well. Just real quickly, we only have about a minute left, but you were wounded. You had been a photographer only in the military. You did not have photography experience prior to your enlistment.
No, I was 17. I didn't have a whole lot of experience, period, before my life in the military. But, I think we have a path, and the military helped me find mine, so no regret.
And, of course, it certainly has shaped your life in recent years. How long have you been doing the Veterans Portrait Project now? You said 11 years?
11 years, yeah.
And 35 states, and do you stop in one state every month, or how do you make that work?
Well, that's a great question. It's been sort of inconsistent. I'm doing 10 states for the month of July.
Wow.
And I'm doing about 6 states in August. We are going to reach all 50 states by Veterans Day 2019. So wish us luck. We're going to need it.
Absolutely.
But the Veterans Portrait Project will continue after the Mission Complete Tour is after we've reached our goal. But really, I look on the map, kind of throw a finger down, and that's where we go, unless people invite us, which you're always open to invitation. If somebody says, hey, you want to come to Bismarck, North Dakota? Well, hey, we'll consider that. So if anybody lives in a remote part of Wyoming and they want us to come on back maybe next year, we're open to it.
I like it. That's great. Stacy Pearsall, we are so glad that you took some time for us today. Thank you. Good luck with your project. And folks, don't forget the Veterans Portrait Project is going to be here in Cody on Monday. If you are a veteran, if you know a veteran who would be interested in getting their portrait taken and finding out more about this project, please visit veteransportraitproject.com or just come down to the Cody VFW Hall on Monday. What time are you going to get started, Stacy?
Well, the RSVPs start at 10 a.m., and we will be going until the last appointment is at 4 p.m.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Stacy, and good luck in Missoula, and we sure look forward to seeing you when you come here to Cody.
Thanks so much. See you soon, y'all.
All right. Then thank you, folks, for tuning into the first half of Party Line. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, welcome